these movies back for another video, and this is the second part in my look at some James Bond films to celebrate the 60th anniversary of James Bond on the 5th of October, this being the release date for the film Dr. No, starring Sean Connery. This week we're going to be focusing on the film The Man with the Golden Gun, the second film to star Roger Moore. So yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the film, some film facts, a bit of trivia, and then we're going to have a look at the edition and talk about my thoughts on what I thought about the film. The Man with the Golden Gun came out in 1974, and in the UK it was a PG certificate. It ran for 2 hours and 5 minutes. James Bond gets tasked with recovering a device that can harness solar energy. At the same time, he finds himself targeted by Francisco Scaramanga, the world's most costly contract killer. The release date in the UK was the 19th of December 1974, and again directed by Guy Hamilton, who directed Live and Let Die. The feature song was by Lulu, and this was, again, The Man with the Golden Gun was the title. Distributed by United Artists and adapted from the Ian Fleming book, The Man with the Golden Gun, a James Bond novel. Cast included Roger Moore reprising his role as James Bond, Christopher Lee as Francisco Scaramanga, Britt Ekland as Mary Goodnight, Maud Adams as Andrea Andes, Hervé Villechaize as Knick-Knack, Clifton James returning as Sheriff J.W. Pepper, Bernard Lee as M, Soon Tek Hoo as Hip, Desmond Llewellyn as Q, and Lois Maxwell returning as Miss Moneypenny. On to some trivia about the film. While on location in Thailand, Sir Roger Moore found a cave full of bats. He couldn't resist seeking out Sir Christopher Lee, telling him what he had found and joking, "Master, they are yours to command." Lee appreciated the joke. In his autobiography, Sir Roger Moore said that when they were filming the boat chase on the Klongs, he fell in twice. The first was on purpose because they told him not to do it, and the second time was by accident. On the second fall, Roger Moore made the mistake of opening his eyes underwater and saw what the local undertakers did with the bodies of the less fortunate. Conversely, this is the only Sir Roger Moore Bond movie where the Bond character is not drenched in water in some way. Director Guy Hamilton admitted that he added the slide whistle to the car roll because he didn't think there was a way the audiences would take the stunt seriously. He has since regretted this. The island used as the filming location for Scaramanga's beach house, Phang Nang Bay, Thailand, is known as James Bond's Island. One of the lowest grossing Bond movies, that fact, combined with behind the scenes problems, nearly made this the final Bond movie and delayed production of the next entry in the franchise, The Spy Who Loved Me. Before acting, Sir Christopher Lee had a brief career in the British Secret Service, where he studied several languages. One of these languages was Swedish. Offset, he spoke Swedish with Britt Ekland and Maud Adams. His wife, Gitte Lee, is Danish. According to Sir Roger Moore, director Guy Hamilton wanted to toughen Bond up more in order to be closer to Ian Fleming's original intent for the character. One of the ways was by having Bond twist the arm of Andrea Andes behind her back and threaten to break it unless she told him what he wanted to know. Moore didn't enjoy filming these scenes, feeling that Bond would have instead charmed the information out of her. Another scene Moore didn't enjoy was pushing the boy into the water during the boat chase. Prior to this movie, Hervé Villechaize was so poor that he was living out of his car in Los Angeles, California. Sir Christopher Lee named Francisco Scaramanga as one of his favourite roles. And finally, The Man with the Golden Gun was the 13th and final complete James Bond novel written by Ian Fleming. It was the first and only one of his full James Bond novels to be published posthumously. Some sources claim that it was unfinished at the time of his death, whereas other experts such as Andrew Lycett and John Cork maintain that Fleming had completed it before he died. It is of controversial debate as to whether Fleming wrote the novel completely himself or whether others were involved. Fleming's own personal correspondence from the period indicates that he had completed the novel and submitted it to his publisher before his death. The correspondence also indicates that Fleming was not pleased with the novel and was considering retiring from writing Bond novels because he feared he had lost his edge. Okay, so on to the edition that I have. And again, much like the Live and Let Die one, I have a custom magnet. Now in the previous video I referred to this as a lenticular, but it isn't. The seller was actually selling these on eBay, described as non-lenticular magnets. And for some reason I just said that it was a lenticular, so apologies for that. But yeah, this seller was able to produce these images onto magnets. Sadly doesn't seem to be doing it anymore, but I was lucky enough to get some of these James Bond covers. And as much like the previous one, this was the artwork that we received on the poster art, and it's a fantastic montage of scenes from the film. This being one of the most fantastic stunts ever, with the car where it did the corkscrew roll from one bridge to another. And again here we've got the famous golden gun, which I've actually seen that gun in real life. Went to Keswick in the Lake District many years ago, and they did have a James Bond museum there at the time. Sadly that's not there anymore. But they did have the actual golden gun in a case, so I was able to see that up quite close. And amongst they had a lot of the cars and a few boats from the films. It was a fantastic exhibition, and I'm very lucky to have seen that. I think all of the James Bond cars now have sadly been sold off to private collectors, so it was a great opportunity in my life to be able to see those, and to see that golden gun was a fantastic experience. Okay, so this is, as I say, this is a magnet, and again what I've done with that, I've just put some magnetic strips on there. We've just got a case, ordinary, well this was a 4K case, it's a spare one I had going, so I quite like the black rather than the blue, and it kind of matches the lenticular, sorry, not lenticular, the magnet. Then on the back I'll zoom in, you can see there's plenty of special features with this release. As with all of the 007 releases, you get a wealth of extras. And we've got a DTS 5.1 master audio mix. I think that's pretty much standard on all of these James Bond releases. Open it up and there's the disc, and then I'll just get the sleeve out and have a look at that. And then again you've got the front cover there. There were various different designs of the Bonds. Not a bad image, this one, but I do prefer the actual poster art that was produced, and you know, I do think that's a really nice cover on the right hand side. And so on to my thoughts about this film. Yeah, again, this was another really good entry for Roger Moore, I felt. Sort of a couple of years after Live and Let Die, and still very much Bond in sort of, well, Roger Moore in his sort of early career of the character. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was really great to have the strong presence of Christopher Lee as Scaramanga. He was a fantastic villain. I mean, Christopher Lee was a wonderful actor, you know, obviously played the role of Dracula for many years, but he's also been sort of many other characters, you know, throughout his career, and always comes across as a strong presence. And this film is no exception. And again, as I said about the wonderful man, the golden gun, you know, it's very clever how it kind of sort of, you know, detaches. So you've got the cigarette lighter, the pen, it all comes together to, you know, have this wonderful sort of golden gun which takes one bullet. And obviously, you know, Scaramanga is charging $1 million a shot, as per the soundtrack title, sung by Lulu. And again, another fantastic soundtrack. This one really sort of sticks in my mind. It's, you know, again, a classic track. I mean, all of the Bond themes are really good. A few that aren't, a few of the recent ones that I haven't really enjoyed, but certainly these earlier ones, you know, always really iconic and sung by fantastic song artists. And the story is largely about sort of the cat and mouse scenario between James Bond and Scaramanga. Obviously, Scaramanga is out to sort of make a hit on James Bond. And towards the end of the film, obviously they have the shootout on the James Bond island, and it's really, you know, it's really done well. Sort of a lot of sort of clever scenes with mirrors, and the character of Nick Nack, he's a sidekick. He's quite a character, and really brings a strong presence to the film. And the Bond girls, I mean, we see Maud Adams. This is her first role as a Bond girl, and at the time, she then returned in Octopussy to be the only Bond actress to actually reprise her role twice at the time. I know in the Daniel Craig film, we've had the I forget the lady's name, but she's appeared in Spectre and in No Time to Die, so she's reprised her role as well. But and Britt Ekland as well, she was a wonderful actress, and you know, she plays the sort of CIA agent, if I remember rightly, and a bit clumsy, but yeah, you know, sort of wonderful Bond girl. And it's also nice to see the character of J.W. Pepper returning. We saw him in Live and Let Die, and a little bit of comic relief with him. And obviously he's on holiday with his wife, and again he kind of comes across James Bond, and they have a little bit of dialogue between the two, and it's that kind of comic relief which is really kind of Roger Moore's signature with Bond. You've always got these comic relief moments, which is, you know, certainly as a child it was fantastic. It always made me laugh, and does to this day, to be honest. This is why I love Roger Moore. So different to probably the original character of Ian Fleming, how he portrayed him, but for the time, for the 70s, it fitted perfectly. And again, this film is very much high up in my ranking of the Bond films, and one of the reasons why I'm showing it in this video. Live and Let Die and Man with the Golden Gun, obviously the first two films from Roger Moore, and they remain very high on my list of James Bond films. It's a wonderful outing, very much looking at the sort of, you know, Hong Kong, sort of Thailand part of the world, you know, the Asia, sort of very much looking at that culture in a lot of ways. And, you know, it's full of action. There's A little bit of comedy in there. Martial arts as well. Obviously martial arts were very big at this time in the early 70s with Bruce Lee. Very much sort of, well, sadly at the end of his career, but he, you know, there'd been a string of martial arts films over the sort of late 60s, early 70s, and this carried on the trend. I would highly recommend, if you haven't seen Man with the Golden Gun, it's definitely worth picking up. That was a look at Man with the Golden Gun. Say, wonderful film this from Roger Moore. So again, one of my favourite Bond films, very much high up in the ranking, probably about 4th or 5th in my sort of top 10, I suppose, of Bond films. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Just to give you a sneak peek as to what's coming next time, we've got the next film, The Spy Who Loved Me, the third film to star Roger Moore. So we'll have a look at that one next time. So I hope you enjoyed this video, this series of videos. As I say, if you want to go back and have a look at Live and Let Die, if you've not seen that one, just have a look in my playlist with James Bond movies. It'll be in there, and you can have a look at that one and then hit the notification bell for the next one that's coming. Okay, thanks very much for watching the video, guys. Take care and see you in the next one. Bye now.